Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about preserving the legacy, ladies and gentlemen. That is our topic for today. And luckily for me, I have a special guest named James who started a business trying to preserve people's legacy. I mean, I was looking at more into it, but you know what? I think you're the best one to fully explain it. So why don't you go ahead and take it away, James?
Oh, hey, Mitzi, thanks for having me on. This is really fantastic. Yeah, our legacy nowadays, we have our basic legacy of things like, maybe a house or a car, things, basically things. And even things over one or two generations are going to be kind of, lost in time type of thing, unless you build a pyramid or something,
Right.
then it might last longer. But our real legacy, I think, is just ourselves, our life, what we experienced in life, kind of like our personality, our being of you don't want to end up just being a picture on the wall. It
Yeah.
says, oh, that's your great great grandfather. I wonder what he was like. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And we actually live now in the digital age to where we can take advantage of the digital age and hand down a lot of what we are and what we do, feelings on whatever topic, or just little things. It could be anything as simple as like chocolate chip cookie recipe. It
Mm-hmm.
could become world famous or whatever like that. But just handing down yourself now is actually a possibility.
Yeah, and I think that's the nice thing about what you're doing is you're creating a way to really capture that. Because like you said, you could look at a picture and all we have is the what if of our imagination, and we put it onto the picture. I think that's where history becomes histories because we find things and we have no idea what it really means or
Right.
why it was there, and then we just assume, well, it could be for a fork. In reality, it could be something totally different. We're pulling a Little Mermaid, what is this called? You know what I mean? We have no idea. So when we have the words and what we went through along with something, it makes it more meaningful because now we know the reality of what is. And that's what I was reading, what you were doing with your company is that you allow people to put their pictures all in your cloud so that, like you said, you lose devices all the time, things get a hot mess, and then you lose that legacy of those moments, because just because we're in a digital age doesn't mean all the things that we're saving on our phones is actually saving because,
uh,
you
when
know,
I started looking into years ago when I was trying to figure out, well, how do you actually save something to maybe pass on to the next generation? And a lot of the cloud stuff, I mean, we use cloud stuff, but what we do is we pay for storage. And then we're building our business up big enough to where it'll self-support itself. And then we even build it bigger to where we have more than one site that's going to be backing up our data.
mm,
So we're not going to be complacent on just one site. And so we're trying to make it as secure as possible, private, none of the retweets or people know, even your own site when you go to, we call it your
mhm,
lifetime account. When you're actually going there, visiting a site, looking at pictures, memories, and our memories is not just a picture. We purposely have it to where people will put a picture on. It could be a little small video or just some writings. We call that a daily scribe. And you can also click the button and put an audio story to that picture. So
nice.
you can tell a story. You just put a picture up there and just says, oh, this is my first car. Oh no, my first car, I went into it for about 10 minutes about all this stuff and the garbage I had to get out of it and what I had to do to it and stuff like that. So we try to make it very personable and private and without all the retweets and no commercials, all that kind of thing, to where we're trying to make it very private and you get to choose who gets to see it. And you can even click private and put all your memories from all the space aliens that you had visited you, and whatever you want to do with it, it's up to you.
Yeah, that sounds like a smart thing to do because, a lot of people say when they're trying to preserve a legacy or just obtain a legacy to leave for their next generation, for their children, their grandchildren, or whatnot, they always think there has to be something big. They have to have some company or some bench named after them, or they have to have some park, or you have to do something big, or go home, you know, they don't do anything at all. So to have just a simple, like, you could do it for, and anybody can do this, to be honest. It sounds like, you know, you don't have to be a millionaire investing thousands and millions of dollars for somebody to walk past and allow their dog to pee on.
Yeah, you want to be a statue to have everybody, all the pigeons coming down and, bowing down to your great statue when you get older. And even those famous people, I kind of feel sorry for, let's say, people that maybe that become famous, or, celebrities, things like that, because a lot of their life, we really don't know behind all the scenes. There
Right.
is what the persona is put out and what some biographer might write about you, type of thing. So you really don't get where you can sit down and maybe they're just telling a funny story when they're a kid, not on TV or anything like that, because they're still in their celebrity mode. But
Yeah.
something you can just put as a personal thing where, oh yeah, I can remember this, or maybe handing down a little bit of information or advice to your great great grandchildren someday.
Mhm.
Give that ability to anybody to do.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about that. And especially because you have that audio, because some people are not good with typing and writing and just conveying their words through writing. And to have that audio aspect makes it easier, especially for those people who aren't very tech savvy and who don't really understand how to use those functions. You know, just speaking out their stories is important because they don't get lost in translation as they have been for years. Because when you hear about your grandfather, the story has either gotten so flamboyant by the time it gets to you, or you
Yeah,
know, your great grandfather didn't do nothing at all. So it's kind of just crazy to hear that, you know, when you get to a mature enough age, you realize your legacy is important, your purpose is important, what you're doing and contributing out into the world is important. But it sucks when the next generation don't see that as important, you know? And I think
yeah.
that's where it is right now, is that not a lot of the youth understand the importance of preserving, you know, preserving what you're doing, because even though it may not seem like you're doing something, later on in the years, you know, your generations after you will see this as like, oh, if if my grandmother could do it, then I could do it too, you know? And I think that is
Exactly.
something beautiful.
Some of the struggles we've went through, and it's kind of cool as the years go by with this business, to where, like, my daughter has my two grandchildren, where they're going to grow up putting stuff within their life account, and then they're going to take over their life account when they become 18, and they're going to still be putting stuff into there, and see how attitudes will change. And all of a sudden, if you've had that thing for 50 years, you can go back to it, and you can make different folders and search things within your lifetime frames and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, wow, I thought that when I was 20, and now you're 80, going, get off my yard.
Yeah. That's funny. But what made you start this business? Like, what happened in your life where you realized, like, I need to do something about this?
Well, it was out of necessity. Back in about 97, 96, I sat my dad down. We went back. We're originally from Iowa, Midwest,
Okay.
and we did a road trip out there with our two daughters. And I sat my dad down in front of his cabin out there, out in the middle of Iowa, and I would just ask him life questions. What'd you do when you were a kid? He was drafted into the Korean War. Where were you stationed? Things like, a lot of funny stories, a lot of cool stories. How much was a gallon of milk? Where were
Yeah.
you when you actually heard about the A bomb being dropped on Japan? You went through some pretty big times back then. How old were you when they had, Pearl Harbor, all those kind of things.
Mm.
So after that, he died a couple of years after that. He passed away, and then I burned a DVD. So I said, "Oh, I got now these great memories." Well, it's always and then in life, you always have to remember the and then. A
Yeah.
couple of years, 10 years later, it's like, where's that DVD at? The kids are getting
Mhm.
kind of grown up enough to be able to kind of cool to dig that out.
Mhm.
Well, then you had to find it, and then it wasn't scratched, and then you have to find out what computer it was burned off of, and it was like that was really hard to do. So I was able to get the parts and everything back again. But at the same time, when he passed away, we also, my cousin, rescued a big, huge family photo album out of the garbage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's generations of information there. And so I'm sitting there going, I always tell people, I was sitting in my work van eating a ham sandwich, going, there's got to be some kind of way you can kind of pass these things down. We
Yeah.
live digitally now. And then so I started kind of brainstorming on how to do certain things. Then you start looking into having technology kept catch up with you, because we can download with a dump truck, but we upload with a teaspoon.
Yeah.
So we're getting faster now. We can upload a small little video or pictures or some audio and stuff like that. So we're reaching the age right now to work pretty good. And so, yeah, so years later, I was able to hook up with my IT guy, and I started putting together the basics of what to do, how to upload a video or a picture, and, but adding audio and making albums and blah, 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 all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff, making it available to people. And it
Hmm.
was out of necessity, basically came up with the idea.
Wow, that's interesting how, but that's right what you said. Like you thought you were on time and you recorded it on a DVD and you put it on the DVD, but now a DVD is almost like in one of those big flash SD cards, it's irrelevant now because of the way technology has changed. So it
Yeah,
is nice to have that reference to go to because the internet seems like it's always going to be there. That's going to be the main denominator
yeah.
when it comes
In
to
one way, yeah.
technology.
In one way or the other, yeah. You can put your stuff up in the cloud. Even back then, let's say if I did put it in the cloud and I forgot about it for a couple of years, they have the ability of deleting information you put up in the cloud.
Mm.
Google and Apple, things like that. If you don't touch it for a certain time period, they don't think you're around and they go delete.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you're not around touching that, why would they keep it?
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that's interesting. So I guess I'm assuming with your comment with that, I'm assuming your business does not delete anything or the accounts.
No,
Is that
because
right?
we pay our main people we work with, and then we're going to be using Amazon Web Services. Bluehost is the first one, what they call it, the IP provider, Bluehost, and then we're going to use Amazon Web Services because they're part of the mechanism that makes our stuff work. And then we're also going to be using Iron Mountain, which is a
Mm.
secondary, actually like a third tier backup, and they're a
Oh, wow.
backup company that works with banks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they
Okay,
work with
so
like
you're
95. If you look up Iron Mountain, yeah, we work with about 95% of the Fortune 1000 companies.
wow, that's very impressive.
Yeah, so I want to make it rock solid. So whatever happens, your information is going to be there because we're paying to have it preserved. All these other places, they give you free storage, which means there's a catch to that.
Yeah, there's
They,
a cap, most
yeah,
definitely.
you're either going to be deleted, censored, or lost. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you keep those little, your backup disks and stuff are important. You should always back up whatever you have. But remember, a generation or two from now, it's either going to be old technology or it's going to be buried in the backyard by the pet.
Exactly. And I've been saving all of my videos and pictures and stuff, and then I'm just like, should I just buy a TV, like a big storage SD card, or I mean, what do I do with it? And then now you come along in my path, and I'm just curious because it's like, what do I really do with it? And now you're here, and it's like, okay, so I put it in, let's say for instance, I put it in your website. Is it like a monthly fee, a monthly subscription? I mean, like, how does that work? Because technically saying you're paying someone. So that
Correct.
means your customers have to pay you. Is it per package?
No,
Depending
what
if
it
your
is,
family grows?
you buy a lifetime, let's say our basic account, because we have our basic lifetime account, which is 10 gigabytes. And you buy that one time, you can either pay the 119.95 or you can pay the 10.95 a month for a year. So I
Okay.
figured you can't have an ongoing payment to somebody that might pass away.
Yes.
So we try to make it to where, okay, you pay for it and we're gonna save it for you.
Okay. So do you give people like a grace period if they end up not paying it the second year?
No, 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 no. You pay it one time.
Oh, you have that one time in that 1 year to pay such amount of money. Oh, okay. And then after that,
Yeah,
it's done.
right. You get your 10 gigabyte. Yeah,
Oh, I get it.
you get 10 gigabytes, which is worth thousands of actually pictures and memories. It gets a little bit shorter, of course, when you have a lot of video into it, but you can also add more memory to your account.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting because it makes me like, oh, I have so many things I can save, so many pictures and videos, and I could just really leave down. And it's like all I give to my sons would be a username and password, and be like, here, log in. That's where all of
Oh,
your
all the
family generation
when
is.
you with your sons and stuff like that, what you do is you basically what you do is you sign up for a 30-day free trial where you take no bank information.
Okay.
And then at the end of the 30 days, if you don't want to go pay for the lifetime account, that your account reverts to what we call a view only account. So they would actually have a view only account and you can upgrade that at any time, but they can have that forever.
Oh, very
So
nice.
they can link over to you, you kind of invite them to look at your site, is what it is, and they can look at it from anytime, anywhere.
And you said it's private where nobody else is going to be looking on my site, as you say, right?
Right. If you keep it private between you and your son or sons,
Yeah,
I didn't
like
know
me
if
and my family,
your family, exactly. Yeah, you can keep
Yeah.
it private within your family because the only time it goes public, you can put things as public is when a person passes away. And then we
Oh,
have like what they call the executor of your site. You get to pick who your executor is. Through email, they say okay, they can go into your site if you pass away, and they can click it, and it becomes a memorial site. So
oh,
people can leave condolences and stuff like that. But what it does, it also locks everything you put into your site. It locks all that information. You can add more stuff to the site, but you can't take anything away. You can't delete anything.
oh, wow. That is interesting. That's very nice because what happened if that person and like somebody else ends up does something very controversial, if I'm saying it correct, towards like society, and then the community wants to remember them, then they can have this information available so that they can
Yeah.
have correct information. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
nice
because
that you end up making it public once they die.
well, if you figure sometime even in your family might run out. And I mean, not
Oh,
run out,
that's
but you
true.
might have no more family. So you want to at some time be able to make it, public, or it's just going to sit in the computer somewhere and you really haven't passed anything down. So we do make it available for, public viewing, and, you can put stuff in there for private, and when a person passes away, boom, then there it is, you
Yeah,
know.
because what happened if the person dies, but how are you supposed to get contacted not getting notified that they died if the generation ends with them?
Right. That's when we have the executor.
Oh, yeah, but what happened if they didn't assign an executive? Would you guys have your own research team showing that it's inactive for a couple amount of time?
That would be
I'm sorry.
something
I'm sorry. I'm asking.
no,
I'm
no,
asking so
that's an excellent
different
question
questions.
because we've actually kind of looked into that, and we really can't get into a person's site because it's password protected. So whoever gets the lifetime account, they have to be a little bit due diligence on at least leaving um a
To leave
password
a
to their site.
legacy, they have to at least leave the password and username.
Yeah.
Make sure that's in big bold fonts. Leave legacy, leave username and password before you die.
Right. Right. And if a person kind of gets into it, which is actually it's really fun when you start, like you're saying, you start throwing we have people put one item at a time in there. We kind of force them to do that because we don't
Okay.
want it to be just a huge, I'm going to put 10 gigabytes of stuff in there right now tomorrow. Well, no, we don't let you do that. It just becomes like another cloud where nothing ever gets, no emotion, no memory of those memories.
Oh, okay. So when they download, when you have to have them download one at a time, you require them to do either the audio or written description or
Right.
make
It's that
sure
one
it
memory
has
to that one.
all the
Yeah.
fluff. Yeah, it has all the juicy details so that when somebody looks back, they have
Yeah.
they have that knowledge of what's going on, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. That's really good. That's a great way to preserve the legacy because I was confused at first when I was reading everything because I was like, okay, so is it kind of like an ancestry.com? But when you're talking about it's like, oh, it's totally way off from an ancestry.com because they're the ones that do the DNA stuff. You're there just to have the real stuff, the one what really means something because you can tell me I'm point 0.5 Portuguese, but that's not going to help me when I can see a picture and see a video of someone dancing and I could just feel that inspiration through that time and see the difference
Yeah.
because when you see old time movies and videos it's like it makes you wonder like what were they thinking? What were they feeling? And it's
Even
It's
what they
something that,
sounded like, even their
yeah.
voice. Yeah.
I want to know how they sound. I want to know if the 1940s did people really say, you know, yay, and like the way they make it seem like on the cartoons. I want to know. I wish
Oh
they
my
had
gosh.
this earlier.
Oh yeah,
That
I
would have been
remember
funny.
a story I remember reading one time, getting the just how somebody's personality is.
Uh-huh.
And I remember reading a story about Abraham Lincoln. He was giving a stump speech someplace.
Mm.
And he was starting to tell a story, and he was about 5 or 10 minutes into the story, and he had everybody so mesmerized. But oh, what's he saying? You know, because he was an excellent storyteller, I guess.
Okay.
But even the reporters were looking at each other, going, "Are you writing this down?" They were just instantly sucked into the story. So it was kind of like going, how did he tell those stories? What was his voice like? Was it low? Was it high? Did he have
Yeah.
pauses in it, like a Mark Twain or something like that? It was kind of like going, what would he really sound like? So we
Yeah.
have that ability. Yeah,
No, that's true because I would want to know, did he be dramatic in certain spots? Did he emphasize? Did he take those long pauses? Because to be a good storyteller, you really have to put it in a way that people can visualize it
exactly.
while you're speaking. So to be able to have that gift, I mean, that's a true gift to have. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be kind of cool to see. I mean, do you guys go through people's submissions in and what they just do you see what people put in or you
No,
don't
I can't unless I'm
unless it's public?
well, even if those, I usually don't search around for people's names in public stuff like that. I usually just work, if a friend gives me an invite, I'll go over
Oh,
and see their
okay.
site type of thing. But
Oh,
I really just, I think some time in the future, we're going to have, I call it people miners, to where it's going to be so interesting to go into somebody's life that was like lived 50, 100 years ago and just have them talking about things, the events of that time.
yeah, that would
And
be cool.
you're not talking to a newscaster or reading a paper or a thing like that. You're just talking to your great grandfather or something like that, or somebody saying, "Oh yeah, we had to go down and get our new hover car." Or something like that, and it broke down on the way home. And you're going to be kind of interesting as history goes on. All these different memories now we can actually feel them.
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny because I remember you talking about how you have your granddaughters have their own where they can add in and see through time. And I was just reflecting back when you said that, like, man, if I had a stage during my teen years and when I went through my all my different stages, I mean, goodness, looking back, I kind of glad I don't have that, but it would have been funny to show my sons when they were older. They're like, ew, you dressed like that. Like, well, like just like we see now with our parents, and it's funny because that's a good way to preserve the legacy because, like we were saying earlier, sometimes it's not the easiest to preserve the legacy, but you
Yeah.
made a necessity. You've seen that it was needed, and I'm pretty sure that I hope that people who are listening can really see the need for this too, because you don't have to be rich. You just have to take pictures and take videos, and I'm pretty sure you're already doing that now.
we got we got a pretty good. There's a little bit of the older crowd, which I kind of fit right in there. We kind of have to push them along a little bit. I got a
Yeah.
father-in-law that he's got the worst one finger typing in the world, and thank God we got audio. But then he talks so slow. he can still tell some of the great stories, but he's like one of those slow talkers. He's like listening to a sloth sometimes, going through this thing. It's really, and then it just comes to a crescendo when it's a funny story. But that's his
Yeah.
personality. It's really
Hmm.
great.
Yeah, but it'll be nice to also see how the personality changes with time too,
Oh my gosh, yes.
because once I could start now and I'm in my 30s, and then when I'm in my 60s, I could still put something in, and it would be cool to see I have the same personality throughout life, or you can see when the personalities have changed and the voice and
Yeah.
everything. I mean, that's pretty cool, especially for people who have dementia and Alzheimer's.
Mm,
This would be a great thing for them because
yeah,
we,
I've thought on the process of helping people with oh post-traumatic stress syndrome,
yes.
and thing like maybe even with suicidal tendencies, or like a good one like you were saying, dementia, or because my mom died of dementia. And being able to possibly get emotions out of you, like
Yes.
PTSD type of thing, maybe. And you've gotten them out of you personally, and then you kind of see them back, and it's all kind of personal, and maybe within just a small group of being able to help you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And
yeah,
to go on further with what you were just saying, I mean, to help people who are in a depressive state of mind, even who feel that they're not accomplishing anything, that they're in a rut, that they can't believe what they're doing, or they may be struggling. But if you mark that still in your legacy in this website, I think you can see like, wow, I actually overcame a lot. Wow, I
yeah,
actually accomplished a lot. So if you do those little accomplishments, sometimes they become into something bigger and it's like, wow, you know what? I can't be putting that much pressure on myself. And a lot of people do. We put
uh,
pressures on ourselves all the
we
time.
we put pressure on ourselves. The only people that mostly beat us up is ourselves.
Exactly.
And
We can
I
be
had
our
a
worst enemy.
I had a good friend. I had a great idea. We're starting also a secondary website, which is kind of a subdomain called lifesaver.myarkit.com.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's going to go to a website called Lifesaver U. And within that, it gives all of our help videos on how to use MyArkit. But at the same time, it dwells into um, he's a professor at the university, and he was working with some other guys working on end of life situations, which can
Oh,
be
okay.
at any time in your life.
Yeah.
And I was talking with somebody else that was working with the financial difficulties of possibly the end of life situations, or you have a certain amount of equity. How do you pass it on to your kids? And all of a sudden, it brought a
Yeah.
whole area of your life and how do I possibly work through it
Transition. Yeah,
and
exactly.
transit.
It's those transitions are hard to
Right.
go through sometimes.
So I kind of figured, okay, we need a whole website like that where people can go to Lifesaver U and kind of maybe
Yeah.
get a little bit of information. A lot of links, a lot of information will be put on there to maybe help that person in depression, and maybe
Yeah.
examples of a person that says, oh, go to this person's MyArkit site, his lifetime site, and this guy will give you, all right, have a little video of somebody that has, I went through this, I worked through it, I did this type of thing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean, to be honest, your avenue is endless because once you input in a legacy, you're inputting in personality and just personalness, if that's the right word. It makes it very
yeah, yeah.
subjective, and it gives the people a lot of a broad avenue to go to. So that's a great idea to do. I mean, I'm glad that you guys are really doing that. This is awesome. This is really awesome. Thank you for being on my
Uh,
show. I
well,
feel like I
we haven't even got into the second thing we're doing, events at MyArkit.
Oh, really? Now you have events?
You ever heard that one?
No.
Oh, you see. Let's
Tell
say,
me.
well, okay, let's say you it works great with like high school yearbooks or weddings and stuff like that. You use the same
Okay.
concept of 10 gigabyte buying a life account, but now you call it an event. And like with your son, if he had a view only account, well, he becomes what they call a participant.
Hmm.
So you buy an event, let's say you're going to get married, it's the Missy's wedding. You send out all your invites, and people just basically sign up to the email thing, and
Oh.
they boom, they have their event. Now
Oh,
you're
very
participate
snazzy.
you're participating in the event. People can sit there and take pictures, do audio, tell the stories. You can put stuff in there from years and years ago when you first met, first date, all these type of things. And then that becomes the event. And now everybody
Wow.
can go back to the event and experience the event. And it could be an ongoing event like family reunions or going to Sturgis, or maybe even you're in college for however many years and you have your own clique and your group of friends. Well, everybody gets yearbooks and stuff like that, but 90% of the people in there you don't know. But
Yeah.
it'd be nice to be able to have your stuff.
Yeah, that is very nice. Wow. This was really interesting. I did not know what we were going to get into when I signed this up and this conversation. Believe me, this is not how my questionnaire is not what I asked you. You really intrigued me. So thank you for that. And I guess to start wrapping up the show before it cuts us off, what can be
Okay.
some lasting words that you can possibly leave us off with?
Oh, the biggest thing is don't become a procrastinator. I've had a lot of people. I just had a cousin pass away about a month ago, and people will procrastinate on getting started. They think they have all the time in the world. No, they don't.
Right.
It's like get on there, get some of your memories in there. It's free to try. Why not get into it, try it out, and start saving those memories?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, James. I appreciate
Yeah.
this. This has been a
Thank you
great
for having me on.
conversation. It's
This was
been
great.
very chill, very relaxed. It was just so easy talking to you. These are the conversations that I love, that I inspire for.
Thank you for having me
Alrighty,
on. You were great.
alrighty, that's it. That's our show. Always keep thinking. And if you want to find more about James and his website, go to mitzythinking.com. You'll find his lovely photo there, along with a link to go to his website so that you can try out the 30-day trial. I mean, you heard me asking all the questions. If you need to ask more, well, then go ahead and ask him directly. I'm pretty sure there's some customer service people there that can possibly ask questions, but I'm pretty sure I got all of them. So always keep thinking, y'all. Bye.